balance is not the goal of a game. It is not even like the top 10 goals of a game. It's not even good for a game necessarily to be balanced. One of the common questions that comes up is about balance, and there's a lot of things to say about it, but I had a few thoughts on stream, so here they are. Before we actually get into the thoughts, just got to give everybody a heads up that, of course, I'm part of the content affiliate program. That means that the Phobies team does give me in-game coffee for producing Phobies content. But these thoughts are my own. Let me know down in the comments what you think about it. I don't think there's anyone in this game that says that Akira is good for the game in its current state. I don't think Akira meaningfully improves Phobies in any way. It's kind of like in a movie, or more like a Looney Tunes cartoon, and, you know, Wile E set up this elaborate trap, and then the Roadrunner, like, just stares him down, and then Wile E looks down, and, like, all of a sudden, like, the mountain is no longer there under him or something, and he just holds up a sign and goes, "Yikes!" That's where we're at. But I feel as though this kind of came down to phobie choice, and it was mentioned by somebody earlier that the answer to Akira, which is something that I've also brought up before, is don't let them get Akira on the board. But there's realistically no way to prevent that. It's not a reasonable ask in the context of a Phobies game, especially on a large map. They will get the Akira. And then it's just a matter of, do they have enough board position? And like, that is the real argument, is push and put enough pressure on that they're not just going to go, oops, I win as soon as they press the button. It isn't that easy. Would I nerf Snowball? No. I think Snowball is completely reasonable. If you nerf Snowball, you'd have to nerf Jar. And now we're quickly running into the territory of like, all right, let's just nerf everything. And I think past a certain point, too many nerfs means a way less interesting game. Things should be powerful. It's fun to do powerful things. It's just, on both ends of the spectrum, whether it's too weak or too strong, things get boring. They may be completely balanced and fair. And there's a valid argument to be made that Akira, Boss, Gonzo are all completely balanced. That doesn't mean the game is fun with them in the current state. Now, there's an argument that Boss is balanced. I'll explain. All right, so here's the argument. Boss is completely balanced. Boss Gonzo is completely balanced. Akira is completely balanced. The imbalance is due to collection constraints. Not everybody has it. So, for example, a queen in chess is better than every other piece, right? Yes, you can make the argument your king is your most important piece because that's the one when you lose the game. But the queen is the most powerful piece. The game is still balanced because both players have a queen. Now, there is a slight imbalance. White wins a small percentage more than black because of first act advantage. But in Phobies, we have a key differential between player 1 and player 2, so it does change things. You know, is it sufficient? We could have that discussion. But like, let's assume for the moment that going first or going second is equivalent. If the game boiled down to proper use of Boss Gonzo Akira every single game, that is balanced. But that's not the problem people want solved. They want a fun game. And this was the discussion that I had last night, that balance is not the goal of a game. It is not even like the top 10 goals of a game. It's not even good for a game necessarily to be balanced. Unbalanced games are generally, not always, but generally more fun because it's fun to do cool, powerful stuff You could literally flip coins, and that's balanced. Assuming you're not like cheating or something, like using a double-sided coin. That's balanced. That doesn't mean it's really fun to just sit there and flip coins all day, right? So the argument is, what are we actually trying to get at when we say that boss is problematic? Because balance isn't really, if you take the collection piece out of it, isn't really the problem. I agree, but level difference in who has what makes it imbalanced. That will never change. Like that's completely irrelevant to any argument, because you could say that like virtually, like if I zone in as stress level 90 whatever against a stress level 30 and I put Dozer on the board, I promise you they're going to lose. They're going to lose. It doesn't matter. And that could be by the same argument that's being made, that is imbalanced, but no one is going to say Dozer is imbalanced or overpowered. Now, I'm not saying that boss is underpowered or that boss is not pushed. So, yes, I think boss has too much HP. It does probably a little bit too much damage. Its cooldown comes back too quickly. There's a variety of things. But the issue is not the balance. The issue is how it impacts and warps gameplay patterns. There isn't really a reasonable answer to boss, because you want phobies, you want game pieces to warp games around them. That's the whole point of putting it on the board and using it is, I put X on the board, my opponent has to respond. It's the whole interaction, right? You can't, otherwise we're just doing things and ignoring each other, but that's silly. So you want to put a guy on the board, put a phobie into play, and your opponent then has to adapt. And if they can't, they lose. Or if they won't, they lose. How much it warps things, which I know it feels like we're splitting hairs here, but by definition, every phobie changes things. You just don't want it to change it too much. And that is different from saying something is imbalanced. Because the way phobies works, the game seems to be based around the idea that every person has access to everything and are roughly the same level. That's my assumption right now. And I think the end state, obviously, is that that would happen on a long enough timeline. Should boss get changed? Should Gonzo get changed? Should Unicorn get changed? Should Akira get changed? Should Hematic Ginsting get changed? Should whatever. There's a lot of phobies that could possibly go up there. Blulian is another one. Yes, I think they should. I think that they are out of whack and they produce gameplay patterns that people don't like. Because you can have a balanced game where both players are slamming Boss Gonzo and then just jockeying for position of who does it better. But I don't think most people want that. Even though that board state, that gameplay pattern, is technically balanced. Because the real issue is that you're invalidating the vast majority of the Phobies cast, you're invalidating the vast majority of potential strategies, and you're really narrowing someone's ability to have fun in the game in the current state. Now, I'm of the opinion I'm fine if a specific set of Phobies stays and is the meta. I'm fine with that. And then the other ones are fringe players, but not everybody's okay with that. I'm certainly opposed to the idea of the devs just making seasonal patches and they just rotate which phobies are good or bad. Because what happens for people with low collections that all of a sudden, guess what? They nerfed all your phobies or buffed everything you don't have, so you get crapped on for however long until the next patch. That sounds miserable. There isn't a free rotation in phobies. It's not like a MOBA where they can just swing things, then everybody plays all random, all mid, and it's irrelevant. You can't do that in phobies. It doesn't work. So in my opinion, yes, these things should be changed. There's several other phobies that I would want to look at. I think going through Shadow Forces games is, I mean, this is why I want to look at it, to point these things out, to tell people about them so they know what's going on.